What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Straight Facts, a sports show that educates and entertains. I'm your boy, James Jackson, Jimmy J. Those are my two guys, Kyle Sirik and Stat Matt Robinson. Jake Alley actually is not with us today, sadly, because the young Gotti, for reference and prayers up to my brother Jake, he came out to his car, his front bumper just hanging on the ground and no culprit in sight. So someone backed up, got his car, and did a little hit and run on him. Wasn't good, wasn't repairable enough for him to make it down to the studio. So he's down there right now.
He lives the furthest away, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, he does.
Than any of us.
Yeah, he got a battle.
He wasn't making it up,
and 422.
He wasn't making it up.
Yeah, it's an excused absence, 100%, an excused absence. But the show must go on, and we got to break down week 1 of the NFL season because football was back and it didn't disappoint.
No,
all the games that were supposed to hit and be very good and entertaining games were, and that gives us just a lot to talk about.
All but one. The Green Bay New Orleans game.
But even that had some entertainment value to it just because the drama of it.
Any game Jameis Winston throws 5 touchdowns, I'm going to say is an entertaining football game to watch.
We'll get to that because we got to give famous Jameis his props. We will absolutely get to that. And there are a lot of people talking crazy about like that game and putting all sorts of accolades and hype around Jameis Winston. Overreactions, we do say. So we're going to get into some overreactions on our own or our facts. So this is our first segment. We're going to call Fact or Overreact. Give you guys some things that happened or some things that have been said about week 1. We got to figure out if they're a fact or an overreaction. First one, and I like this. We're starting this one off hot. I like this one. Aaron Rodgers, after that week 1 performance, is no longer a top 5 quarterback. Let's just run down just the game that Sir A.A. Ron had. 133 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 36.8 quarterback rating. That's next worst to Trevor Lawrence with a 70.1. And Rodgers would have had a better quarterback rating if he spiked the ball on every single play. So if he actually came out, threw the ball in the door on every single play, he would have had a better quarterback rating. So after all those things being considered, and the eye test of just how bad it looked, is that a fact or overreact, Kyle? What's going on?
It's an overreaction. I mean, he's still the MVP of the league. Say what you want about what happened in the offseason. I think, people are going to have trouble with that. But he played one game, right? He played one game. This is his revenge tour. He played a lot of golf, I'm sure, in the offseason. All that. Let him get back in football shape.
A lot of Jeopardy hosting.
Yeah, a lot of Jeopardy. Well, couple Jeopardy hosting. But I let him get back on his feet. He's clearly still a top 5 quarterback in the league. I don't think you can take a one-game sample size of anything in any sport and say that is who this guy is, especially after what we've seen of Aaron Rodgers even just last year.
Right. I mean, and you can't let one game define like Aaron Rodgers, his talent or his career, and it does not undo the MVP season that he just had. But here's what's interesting about, the performance Aaron Rodgers put in. Say that Pat Mahomes was having a contract dispute with the Chiefs and, it was holding out all offseason into training camp. And not that he wouldn't work out at all. And I'm sure Aaron Rodgers didn't not work out at all. Mm-hmm. But do you think Patrick Mahomes could have come back with a little bit of a training camp and put on a better week 1 performance and put on still a Patrick Mahomes-like performance? Would he have been that bad?
I mean, we saw every quarterback in the league have a better game than Aaron Rodgers did.
Okay, right.
No, Mahomes wouldn't have been that bad. It is concerning.
Well, okay.
I'll say that. But I'm not going to put the label on him that he's no longer a top 5 quarterback after one.
But if that logic is for Mahomes, could Josh Allen have done that? I believe Josh Allen could have come back and had a good. Could Lamar Jackson? I believe Lamar Jackson could have come back and had a better game.
Yeah,
could Russell Wilson? But now you're getting 4 or 5 QBs deep who could have done what Aaron Rodgers did, hold out this offseason, not go to training camp, and come back and have a better week 1 game. Which, if we're going to use that logic, may put him out the top 5 quarterbacks right now, just in terms of pure talent and able to play the quarterback.
But when I look at top 5 quarterbacks, I view it as...
That's not the basis.
Yeah, the top 5 quarterbacks is...
I'm changing the basis.
For the rest of the season, you can pick a quarterback, rank them. That's what our top 5 quarterback is. If he's not in your top 5, you either have like psychic vision of the future or you're delusional.
No, 100%. I'm trying to make a case for it to be true.
He's the MVP. Mm-hmm. He played against a really good team from last year. They were in 12-4. They were the 2 seed last year, and people forget, have short memories. Last year in November, Tom Brady had a very similar horrible stat line and a 38-3 loss
God, bro,
to
you
the
are
same
exact
with this
score.
shit. You are
where
relentless.
he threw 3 picks, 209 yards at a 40.4 passer rating.
Mhm.
Yep.
Great quarterbacks have shit games against good teams. It doesn't mean anything unless it becomes a long-term trend, and nothing I've seen, unless Rodgers has really just completely quit because he's done with the
Yeah,
Packers.
that's
the only scenario where I think that this could be long-term.
Yeah, and that's the warning flag. I think
3 out of 10 panics go.
I
if I'm
think
a Packers
It's
fan.
it's the shock factor of it. You know
this
what I mean?
statement's an overreaction, but there's warning flags now. I mean,
my point.
after everything that happened in the offseason, you think a guy comes back from that, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe he retired, but he's still going to play. Maybe in 3 weeks, he's going to be like, oh, this is actually my retirement year. He's going to have the first ever retirement year, and he's just not going to play.
He looked superhuman last year in his MVP year.
Yeah.
And the very first game, he looked very much mortal. He looked very human. He looked very any quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers, there's been 1 or 2 times ever he's looked like any quarterback.
Yeah.
And with everything going on, it's for some people, it's too much of a coincidence. For some people, it's like you can't hold out the entire offseason, not work out, and then just come back and be the best quarterback in the league again.
This is one we're going to learn. We're going to learn very quickly if this is an overreaction or fact. And I think currently it's definitely an overreaction.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to use that very last sentence that you said to move into the next one. We're going to learn very quickly if this next statement is a fact or an overreaction. Y'all man Jalen Hurts. Y'all played the Falcons, by the way. But y'all man Jalen Hurts went up and impressed a lot of people in week 1, including myself.
Yes, sir.
A very, very good week 1 performance. 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 77 completion percentage, 126.4 quarterback rating. He looked like an upper echelon quarterback. And it's always fun to play this game of Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz because making a reality show out of Philadelphia sports is just way too much fun. So how about this one for y'all? Jalen Hurts will have a better season than the former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz will have this year in Indianapolis. Matt, I'm throwing that to you first.
That's not an overreaction because Carson Wentz was the 31st best quarterback in the league last year. so to say that Jalen Hurts, who I'm not honest, I'm really for game 1 he proved me wrong so far. I keep hoping.
You're not a big Hurts guy. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think Carson Wentz will be mediocre this year. I don't think he'll be horrible like he was last year, and I think Jalen Hurts will be mediocre. So it's up in the air. So it's completely not an overreaction to say that.
Oh, okay. The one statement's up in the air.
Yeah, the one it's not. I don't know for sure if that's true. I think they'll both be kind of middle of the pack quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. The one thing I didn't see from Hurts is we didn't push the ball down the field on throws, and the one time he did throw a deep ball, he underthrew it to Hurts. Mm-hmm. So I do want to see more of that, but I was obviously 9 out of 10 performance from Hurts. Was very happy. Right. But it's definitely not an overreaction to say that Hurts will have a better season than Wentz.
There was context around both their performances. One, Carson Wentz didn't have an abysmal game. He didn't have a great game. He had a good game. He was fine. I saw one offense, kind of let their quarterback go a little bit, but not, like you said, didn't push the ball down the field. Hey, we're gonna get you out there. We're gonna get you moving, but we're not gonna pull the reins off this thing. And then I saw one offense trust their quarterback far too much, and that was the Colts. So I think that resulted in the 2 games. If the Colts rein it back, and if the Eagles let it all go, I think the tails flip a little bit. But Kyle, factor overreaction. Jalen Hurts, we know what your answer is.
Oh, this is a fact. This is a fact. Jalen Hurts is going to have a better season than Carson Wentz. And what you just said about how, maybe he would have had maybe more opportunities to let the reins loose on Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. They won that game big. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to run.
Falcons.
They did play the Falcons, but you will let the reins go. I mean, he threw 264 yards with 77% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's going to get even more opportunities in close games. I mean, they're running the ball at the end of that game. But the one thing for me is that in one game, Jalen Hurts had a better game by far than any game Carson Wentz put out in 12 games last season.
Context is a lot to
Carson
that,
Wentz,
context means a lot.
But Carson Wentz didn't throw, and this surprised me, didn't throw 3 touchdowns in a single game last season.
He was horrible last year.
But not even once. And the highest passer rating he had was a 91.1 last season. Jalen Hurts put up a 126.4. Now, the context is Carson Wentz also played a better week 1 than any game he played last season. Still took an L, though. I think when you look at this, I'm going to say it's a fact. I think Jalen Hurts by far puts up the better stats. When you're looking at quarterbacks, it's not just the stat position, though, like maybe wide receiver is oftentimes. Mm-hmm. But if the Eagles continue to play this way and they're fighting for a playoff spot, maybe win the NFC East, I think by far that is better than any season Carson Wentz is going to have, unless somehow he goes like 13-4 and wins the division, which I don't see happening at all with the Colts.
It's an overreaction.
It's not.
Or it's an overreaction. And here's what I'm going to tell you why.
He took his job last year. He's going to play a better season this year.
I'm going to tell you why. Y'all just aren't rational sometimes. Here's why it's an overreaction. Carson had a below-average game. For quarterback standards, for Carson Wentz standards, for the hype and debut, he had a below-average game.
I thought he looked good.
And 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 102 quarterback rating. The fumbles are always going to be there. He's Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts has to have a better game than that every single week for him to have a better season than Carson Wentz. It's an average Carson Wentz game.
Compared to last year, that's the best Carson Wentz game we've seen in the last 13 games.
In terms of the quarterback that we all think and know Carson Wentz can be, that's an average Carson Wentz game.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts has to be better than that on a week-to-week basis to be better than Carson Hurts. I'm not saying – or Carson Wentz, I'm sorry.
You can't just erase what Wentz was last year like it didn't matter.
I'm not erasing it.
Yeah.
Because
that's part of the average.
I see what you're saying.
That is part of the average.
Yeah.
MVP Carson Wentz's average game was way better than that. So the bad Carson Wentz drags that down. That is an average Carson Wentz game. I don't think Jalen Hurts has a better game than that every single week. And that's not to say he's any bad.
But I don't think Carson Wentz holds up to that standard every single week. I thought personally Carson Wentz looked good.
With that
I
team,
think it's his first week on a new team. Maybe there are those arguments he will get better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is what you can expect from Wentz every week. Maybe more passing yards, maybe another interception here or there.
Exactly.
It'll vary a little bit. But I'm not so sure that Carson Wentz can do this every single week. And I think
the biggest thing I saw Hurts over Wentz is his pocket presence. Like, he knew exactly where all the defenders were coming from. Grady Jarrett got a lot of pressure on him early on, and he knew exactly. Wentz, ever since his injuries, he panics because he doesn't have the mobility, and he doesn't know what to do.
Right,
yeah.
ends up
I saw a level of confidence in an Eagles quarterback I have not seen in a long time, and that was very promising.
But remember, and here's what Eagles fans fail to remember, is we're no longer, if we're going to have this Carson Wentz versus Jalen Hurts debate, we're no longer having it against
last year's
QB Jalen Hurts or Eagles Jalen Hurts and Eagles Carson Wentz. We're now having the debate Colts Carson Wentz. So if Carson has this game every week, I don't want to hear about what he did last year.
Yeah.
I don't, because we're judging him off this year, and that is an average Carson Wentz game. I just don't think Jalen Hurts does that on a week-to-week basis. I don't.
We'll disagree.
You played the Falcons. Yeah. But, have that stat line against the Niners, 264, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions on 77. Do that next week against the Niners, and next Wednesday we might have a different conversation.
Fair.
That's what
I don't think me and Matt believe in Carson Wentz as much as you do, though. I think
I'm not saying I believe in him, but
I just don't think that's an average Wentz game. I do think he looked good.
I think Wentz is a victim of circumstance. When he's in a good circumstance, I think he plays well. Yeah. I think when he's in a bad one, he will crumble. And he's in a good circumstance.
Let's be honest. In what way has Wentz proven that he's better than Jared Goff?
He almost won an MVP. Or he should have won an MVP.
That's 4 years ago.
Yeah, but Jared Goff never, once ever in my mind, should have won an MVP.
Jared Goff was a much better quarterback last year. Jared Goff played.
Your question to me was, whenever has Carson Wentz proven better than Jared Goff?
Right now, what's the argument that is there there's no strong argument that he's better than Jared Goff. It's like, you can make an argument either way.
Yeah, there is. Come on, man. There is. There is. If you're telling me you're like life depended on it. Martian's got the death beam pointed at you, and I said Carson Wentz or Jared Goff, there'd be a question in your mind.
In one game?
I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear.
I want to hear this.
In one game, I'll flip a coin.
No, you won't.
Okay.
Kyle Martian's got the death beam pointed at you.
Oh, I'm taking Carson Wentz.
Thank you. Come on, man.
I just want to remind people that Jared Goff had a comeback win on the road in the Superdome to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, great for him.
That happened.
He had a good game.
Sean McVay coached a great game.
He had a good game. That's awesome. He was on one of the best teams in the league. Anyway,
we got to move on.
We got to move on after that. The Bears might have to move on from Andy Dalton. Red Rocket didn't look so hot in week 1. 206 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 4th worst quarterback rating among week 1 starters, and Justin Fields comes in, albeit not a touchdown pass, but gets his first touchdown of the season. Has more touchdowns than Andy Dalton does on the season. Right. So Andy Dalton should not play another game, or should not start another game, for the Chicago Bears. Kyle, fact or overreaction?
That's a fact.
It's time.
I think the decision to play Andy Dalton was either one of two things. One, you want to let the rookie sit for a little bit. This is your franchise quarterback. We don't care about him first game ever. And two, it could have been he gave yourself, and if the locker room believed it, which I don't think they do, is that that Andy Dalton put the Bears in the best position to win the game. That's what I think Matt Nagy was thinking.
Who the hell knows what Matt Nagy was thinking?
Before everything. And I just hit my mic. Sorry if that came through. But that was before we saw what happened. I mean, Andy Dalton played 93% of snaps, did not score once. The other 7% went to Justin Fields. He went 2 for 2 passing and rushed in a touchdown. I mean, he's clearly the better quarterback. I kind of agreed maybe start Andy Dalton. I saw the reasons why until he took that football field on Sunday night. I mean, after he goes down, David Montgomery rushes for 50 yards. They got a shot to score on the opening possession. Very next play, Andy Dalton throws a pick. Matthew Stafford throws a 70-yard bomb to Van Jefferson. Game was over right there. That game was over in the first quarter. I think if Matt Nagy wants his jobs and Bears fans want to win, I think Justin Fields has to take the reins from week 2 on.
Yeah, you're trying to make the playoffs. You were a playoff team last year. It's the only explanation I can make of this is that, like, if you're afraid Fields will struggle, you should have Dalton to see how bad it could be. It's like, well, at least he's not Dalton. He got that done. He didn't throw. Bears were the only team didn't attempt a single pass that was 15-plus yards downfield. That's unbelievable. That's like playing with, like, 2015 Peyton Manning when he physically couldn't throw a ball 15
Peyton
yards
chucked a couple ducks down there. They might not get there, but he tried.
Like, he didn't even try to throw. And, like, you can't win a football game, especially against a team like the Rams, without doing that. And you got to get rid of. I hope he should not start. That's not a close to an overreaction.
No.
I hope Matt Nagy thinks the same because it'd be much more fun watching just like I told my dad. It's like, what's the Sunday night game? It's like a Bears Rams. Ooh, Justin Fields like no, Dalton's starting. He's like and he wasn't just.
My neighbor said the same thing.
And you know why this is a fact? Because the players are saying that too.
Yeah, that's the
thing.
thing.
They're coming in that night and say, "Who's starting? Andy." Like. Justin Fields is one of those battery-packed players. Like Justin Fields comes on the field, excites the teammates, excites the fans, and when you have a good team, that makes everyone play better. This isn't the Jaguars where they just need asses in the seats and they're trying to boost team morale. If Justin Fields excites the rest of this team, imagine if Justin Fields excites Khalil Mack by what he does. It's a problem for everybody else. Imagine if he excites Tariq Cohen. It's a problem for everybody else. So that's why it's a fact, because Justin Fields comes in and brings life back to the Bears. There was a clear time in that game where you could see on the sideline, most players are looking around like, man, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Because this game seemed in grabs. I mean, the Rams defense had pretty much a chokehold in that game, but who knows?
The Rams are the better team.
100%.
The Rams are the better team, but
Justin Fields might give them a better shot to win that. And isn't that the point? Which quarterback gives you a better chance to win the football game?
That's exactly right. And I think Matt Nagy, if he continues with Andy Dalton, has 2 games left in him. If he's 0-3 and he hasn't made a decision to move to Justin Fields, they're going to bring in a coach that well, and he's off the hook.
The tape doesn't lie. Andy Dalton played 93% of snaps and didn't score once. Justin Fields played only 7% of snaps, went 2 for 2 passing and a rushing TD. Sample size means a lot.
Yeah.
Context means a lot. If that's flipped, who the hell knows what the numbers look like?
Mm-hmm.
But the tape doesn't lie. And I don't like when people try to overcomplicate football or sports in general. And we are a fact-based podcast, a fact-based show. But all our facts lead to the tape. All our facts support what you see on the tape. The tape does not lie.
Yep.
If Justin Fields comes in and he's a better quarterback and you have a team who's playoff ready, you best not play around with that. Or Matt Nagy, like you're playing with, you're just playing with your job.
Facts.
Absolutely playing with your job. The next one's going to be fun.
Oh, here we go.
The next one is going to be fun because it's a friend of the show. Matt Valdivinos. We got to talk to you, man. Because he let out on Twitter, the only QB definitely better than Dak Prescott is Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to say it one more time. The only QB that's definitely better than Dak Prescott is the best quarterback on the planet, and Patrick Mahomes. Kyle, because it's your boy too, man.
Yeah.
You co-sign this man.
Yeah, I brought him on the show, and he's been great on the show.
Hey, he's my dog now too.
Yeah.
He's my dog now too. Factor overreaction.
So, Matt, I do want to say we get your argument, what you're saying. You're saying there's only one that's
Kyle,
definitely
that's where you're coming from.
No, but what he's saying
argument
is there's only one that's definitely better, Patrick Mahomes. He's saying everyone else is up for debate. That's what he's trying to say here. But Matt, this is a huge overreaction.
Thank you.
huge overreaction. We've seemingly forgot about Russell Wilson. We've seemingly, and you tweeted this on Thursday, so I'm not going to let you off the hook for this one. We seemingly forgot about Aaron Rodgers, and I know what he just did. We'll see what happens there. But I don't think there is much of a debate with Dak Prescott and the two guys I just named. I would throw Dak Prescott probably undoubtedly a top 10 quarterback in this league. But you tweeted this at halftime of a Thursday night game, and your argument was that the Bucs defense is pretty good. So, if he's number 2 quarterback in the league, I don't care what defense you're going against. He should look good. Mm-hmm. All right? That's not a way to say it. I'm going to say it's huge overreaction, and I think, Matt, you got some stuff to say.
Wild overreaction. Dak Prescott's a quarterback. Good for him that he's healthy.
Don't disrespect him now. You can be an overreaction, but don't disrespect Dak now.
It's impossible to say that Russell Wilson is not definitely better than Dak Prescott. There's no statistical argument that you can make that's close. There's no eye test argument that you can make. There's no team success argument that you can make.
What about Tom Brady?
You can make a wrong argument that he's better than Tom Brady.
Okay, so you can't make an argument.
But you can't make an argument about Russell Wilson. Because if you just look at the Dak Prescott hasn't thrown a 100 passer rating season since his rookie year. I'm just going to read through Russell Wilson's last 4 years.
Go ahead.
Passer ratings of 105, 106, 110. And so...
there it is right there.
There are 17 quarterbacks since that have thrown 100, that have had 100 passer rating seasons since Dak Prescott. I'm going to just name some of them that'll surprise you. Alex Smith, Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins.
That one very much surprises me.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
That one surprises me.
Ryan Tannehill.
That one surprised me a little bit.
Tannehill's good. No, Tannehill's good.
That surprised me a little bit. For a full season, that surprised me a little bit.
Tannehill's good.
Yeah,
he's a hot quarterback.
The Alex Smith one surprises me.
Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. He's probably in like the 8th or 9th best quarterback in the league range.
See, I put him higher than that.
I put him higher than that.
I put him at 5, 6, probably.
What do you say?
He's fringe top 5.
Dak or Lamar is probably the argument that we should be talking about.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's one is close.
That's the line right there. Probably.
Yeah, I think that's close.
And I don't think, and you could give me an argument for both, and you wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah,
you could absolutely give me an argument for both. Yeah, Matt, my fault, man. That's a little bit of an overreaction. Here's what I do appreciate is when Dak balls out, we have to give him his flowers and appreciate that. I know that's not really in y'all wheelhouse as Eagles fans, but sometimes, Dak balling out gets overlooked. Like before he got injured last year, there was a case for Dak being top 3 in MVP conversation. And I get it was the very beginning of the season, but Dak was hooping before he got hurt. And that's all that Matt V is trying to say.
Yeah. And they were losing, by the way.
And they were losing. So, but to say that there's only one quarterback and it's the best on earth and maybe the best ever by when it's all said and done, that he's the only one definitely better than Dak, that's just an overreaction because – is Josh Allen not definitely better than Dak?
I think that's another argument you can make. I think the two.
I don't think you can make that argument.
Dak's 7th on my list of course.
I don't think you could. I don't think you could make the argument. Like I'm taking Josh Allen 7 days out of.
I like Dak Prescott.
I think
I know
you can like him without.
And I know exactly why Matt tweeted it, and I just don't go that far. But and you remember me last year? I didn't have Dak top 10 quarterbacks, and you guys got on me about it. I'm throwing him as high as 5 or 6 right now. I think the only 3 definitely are Mahomes, Wilson, Rodgers, but I think a lot of arguments after that come up.
I think Dak is a lot closer to someone like Justin Herbert than he is to someone like Russell Wilson.
It's interesting. We're going to have to settle.
That's fair.
We all agree that Matty V is overreacting. I
disagree. There are tiers.
There's levels to this shit. Anyway, the last one, we're going to end on a fun one. Because at this point, if you don't enjoy what you saw out of Jameis Winston, you're a hater.
I'm a Jameis Winston hater. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Okay, we'll get into that. Of course you are.
I hated him since he was at Florida State.
That makes sense. You got ACC ties, but of course you would. Anyway, here's the last one. Factor of reaction. I guess we'll start with you, Matt. Jameis Winston will lead the Saints to the playoffs after that Week 1 performance.
Not at all.
Jameis Winston.
It's not an overreaction in the sense that the Saints will make the playoffs.
Jameis Winston will lead. He will be the focal point of their playoff run. That's kind of how I read
if
this.
a team makes the playoffs, any quarterback led them there.
You can drag a quarterback to the playoffs in success.
Mitch Trubisky led the Bears in the playoffs last year.
He did not.
Yeah, he did.
No, he did.
He was the quarterback.
I'm going to change it then. Jameis Winston will be
the reason the Saints make the playoffs.
Will be the focal point of a
enough
Saints
of an
playoffs.
Impact. Sure.
You know what I'm supposed to.
I get what you're saying now.
Go ahead.
Saints are going to make the playoffs because the Saints are a great team.
So it's not Jameis.
They're the winningest NFL team since 2017, and they have a quarterback that's okay. So that won't hurt them. He's not going to be the reason they make the playoffs.
So that's an overreaction.
So that's an overreaction. Remember, he threw 5 touchdowns. He threw like 148 yards.
No, that's so funny.
There's.
Because even when
they
Jameis
were in position
out,
to throw those touchdowns, not because of Jameis,
right.
because of the defense and the running game and everything around it.
Even when Jameis balls out, the stats don't make sense. 5 touchdowns on under 200 yards passing.
Yeah.
Fact or overreaction?
I think the difference is, I'm going to say it's a fact, and I agree with Matt, they'll make the playoffs, but I think he'll lead them there. The difference is Jameis Winston has had these crazy stats that you would want to look at. He threw a couple, too many picks, 30 in particular that season, but was the league's leading passer, and they missed the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I think Jameis Winston bringing a team to the playoffs is, in a way, him leading a team to the playoffs. And I know the Saints are a lot better team than that Buccaneers team was. Probably, 3 years ago now? But he threw 5 touchdowns week 1, and I know defense got him there. Alvin Kamara looked great. Blah, anything. Doesn't matter. Wide receivers were getting open. Jameis Winston will lead them to the playoffs. Any quarterback will. I disagree with you in the terms that, he'll get carried there. I think maybe you can look at Alvin Kamara and he has a stud season and, he will be more of an impact. But Jameis Winston's going to lead this team to the playoffs, no doubt. They're going to be an easy wild card. Other teams, you think up there lost week 1. The Vikings, the Bears, maybe. They lost week 1. I think you fully expect 2 out of the NFC West anyways. But that last spot, I think, easily goes to the Saints.
Oh, I think it's a fact.
Okay.
I think Jameis – I want to see Jameis succeed so much.
He's one of the most fun players in the league to watch.
There's a couple players in sports that when they ball out, it's the most entertaining thing to watch.
Yeah.
And in football, it's Jameis Winston. Everyone roots for Jameis Winston. And
I understand that 5K 30-30 season was so entertaining as a neutral.
As a neutral.
As a neutral. Pick 6 to hit 30 interceptions was so great.
Hey, and let me tell you about watching the ins and outs of a 30-30 season. It's exactly what it sounds like. He will throw 2 touchdowns back-to-back drives, and the next 2 drives will be the craziest interceptions you've ever seen in your life. It literally was tit for tat. But getting him back on the Saints, I get the Saints are a good team. No NFL team has won more games since 2017 than the Saints. He's taking over from a team that went 12-4 last year, first in DVOA, Matt, your favorite stat. So he's on a good team. You want to know why I think it's a fact he leads the Saints to the playoffs? This is the best advertisement for LASIK eye surgery that you will ever see. Because Jameis, he said that's the reason he's gonna play better. I got LASIK eye surgery. I can actually see down the field. And I haven't seen anything to the contrary yet.
Yeah,
he looked like he's seeing the field better. He looked like he's making more decisive throws. He's not going like this when he throws the ball downfield. He fighting people. These balls are on the button.
Yeah,
and I've seen Jameis make some pretty good throws. He's the number 1 overall pick. But I'm watching that game and like, he didn't make these throws wearing pewter and black. This is new. So I think Jameis Winston leads the Saints to the playoffs, and whatever doctor did Jameis Winston's LASIK eye surgery, you need to advertise that because people need to know about that. Am I wrong for that?
I want to give an eyesight throwback in sports to Philly Bryce Harper when he was a minor league baseball player in 2011. He started the season 231 at low Class A. People were freaking out. He changed his contacts over the next 20 games to get 480.
Is that what happened at the All-Star break? Did we just figure it out?
Yeah, hey.
All-Star's been balling recently.
We've been balling out.
Did you just not see it at the beginning of the year?
Yo, I'm telling you, clear vision will change an entire season and an entire career around.
If Jameis becomes a Pro Bowler, he's got to get whatever the biggest LASIK, whoever does surgery, he's got to get a big brand deal.
Easily.
That's absolutely made for him. That's actually a genius idea, Matt. You need to be on James.
You need to be on the marketing team.
You need to be on his marketing team. That's a brilliant idea. Jameis had a very impressive week 1 performance.